Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for our webinar day today. Today, we're going to take you on a new AI shopping journey. If we haven't met before, hi, everybody. My name is Anya Chrysanthon, and I'm a Chief Communications Officer here at Inugo. Joining me today is our CEO, John Lee. Now, you guys, I feel very excited to share this conversation with you because I have had the privilege of listening to John Lee for many years now. Before I ever joined Inugo, we used to have long conversations. And one thing I always was amazed by is that every time we talked, I always felt like my mind was blown. It was like drinking out of a hose. So you may feel the same way. But John's always been a pioneer in our industry, not just when it comes to new home sales marketing, but really the technology part of it. Remember, John worked in Silicon Valley before he took on new home sales. So I am really excited for you guys to listen to our conversation today. And John, take it away.
Thank you, Anya. I'm glad all that talk didn't scare you away and you're ready to jump on this joyride with us as we go down this AI customer journey, which is going to be a new venture for all of us. I thought a great way to start, since we are a visualization company and we're talking about AI and we're going on this new AI customer journey, I thought I'd bring in my new friend, ChatGPT, to help us out. I basically prompted it, show a couple in a red convertible waving hello as they're driving by. And so it gave me this rendering. But of course, we want to show me and Anya. So I took our headshots here and said, hey, replace these people with our headshots. And voila, here's what it gave me. It actually threw me back 20 years. Thank you for giving my hair back. But basically, this reflects my journey that started back in 2001 as Rendering House. I always knew that I always started with content, and content is king. But my goal was never to be the king of content, as many believe. Actually, our mission, and we renamed ourselves Inugo back in 2020, is actually to use technology to make a new go of the entire arduous, painful, frustrating, risky new home shopping journey. And now with AI as the co-pilot, I think we can get there. I actually want to take us back down memory lane. So I want to take a drive back down memory lane. And back then, we used to take pictures on Polaroids, even before Anya's days there. And the way we data tagged our images back then, we actually had to write magic marker there, like road trip 99. And back then, you were limited on where you can go based on that paper map. What is great to go driving all around. Once you're off the page, you could be lost or you're on your own. And that is part of the confining experience of today's home shopper. And I'm just going to go back to all these marketing channels back in time. When we started in 2001, we were providing content for a print medium. In fact, we actually had a printing company. I was saying, wait a minute, why are we giving all this money to the print companies? We got to put it on a CD and drive it there and then look at all that stuff there. I said, let's just get our own color laser double-sided printer. And that's what we did. And I used to say, it's like printing dollar bills because we charged $2 for it, cost us $1. And every time another page come off, cha-ching. That was a wonderful thing. But I knew coming from Silicon Valley that the print era was going to end. And I think you were still around for some of that at the tail end of it, Anya, because you had to deal with newspaper classified ads, signs, flyers, brochures. But the whole approach there from marketing, and it's still today, even with digital, where we have websites and then you had SEO with keywords to get you there. And back then with newspapers, you had classified ads. And today you have portals, even social media, sales kiosks, videos, emails, texting, blogs. The whole point of all that marketing back then was what's up there in the blue. It was really a classifications approach. It basically classified categories of what the buyers may be interested in, and is trying to use marketing to attract and then direct the audience where and how to shop, really top of the funnel. And when I say audience is because they're really confined in that medium because they're stuck with generic static content. So we had this major paradigm shift from print to digital, but it was still a confined experience. In the last 5 years, particularly with us, we have introduced apps, and apps has changed the marketing approach to a more buyer-centric approach, where I call it expressions. They get to express what they're looking for and give them the capability through interactive, personalized content, DIY, do it yourself. Then you actually shift from being a confined audience, forced to sit there and watch a video or sit there and read a blog, to now be an engaged participant. That's further down the funnel. And some of those things with apps are like chat bots, interactive design apps, self-guided tours, virtual reality tours, where you can design and tour and even design along the way, augmented reality, dropping a house onto that home site and seeing how it looks like. And if you allow buy, reserve online, even e-commerce. So that has been a huge paradigm shift over the last few years. What do you think about all that exciting stuff, huh?
Yeah, I think most consumers are certainly familiar with the apps through social media shopping, especially when you go to Instagram, everything seems to be personalized to my taste. But it is that experience of personalization that most consumers are familiar through social media shopping.
So within apps, there's actually some subcategories. A lot of people are thinking about apps they buy from the App Store from their iPhones or Google Play. Those are native apps, which are native to your device. And it requires you to download that app. And it has a lot of unique features related to your device. But one of the things that's happening behind the scenes, and you'll see this like what you're saying with, say, Facebook and also on Amazon. When you go to facebook.com, I go to amazon.com, say, we see our personal shopping carts. We see our friends and the families that we want to talk to and the interests that we have. So even though it looks like a website, smells like a website, feels like a website, it's your website, particular to you. And the nice thing about a web app, which is what we've been creating for our clients, which is iframed or integrated into their website, is you can access it through website browsers. So now you can have access regardless of whether you're on a desktop or a mobile device. And the updates are automatic. You don't have to download it. It's just next day you wake up and there's all these new cool features. You see that all the time on Facebook and even on Google and such. The problem with apps right now, and it just got started and it's almost, I don't say it's defunct, but it's being superseded. It's a very solo engagement. And what I'm saying is that even though it's interactive, it's not only solo, but it's using dumb content. And when I say dumb content, there's no intelligence behind it. It can't really go back and forth with you, advise you, remember what you did last time. So what we want to do now, and what AI is affording us to do, is now take the next paradigm shift built on the platform of apps. Because if you still have generic static websites, you'll never have that personalization interactivity. So assuming that you have apps, now you can add AI to it. If you use ChatGPT on a mobile device, you either had to download the native app version, and then you can talk to it and you can do it and take pictures even and say, hey, what is that? Is that a plant I can eat? Or is it a plant I should pull, a weed I should pull? But on the website version, you go to their website and you have your unique conversations with ChatGPT. So what we want to do there is creating AI apps for the builders. And with that, you actually log in because it's about personalization and privacy as well. So when you log in, you actually have now superseded the old third-party anonymous footprint data that Google had afforded you. Now you actually have somebody that's not only first party that you know who they are, but they're actually zero party. They actually want you to help them. And this is where it gets to the collaborative engagement. Now they have somebody to help them through that painful, arduous, risky, never done before new home shopping journey with smart content. And that's that business intelligence that it can draw upon about industry trends, new home financing, very generic stuff, all the way down to, if you give it access to your products and your ERP of data, your proprietary information and pricing and availability.
And again, important to note here is that with this AI advancement, even though it's built on apps, again, it doesn't mean you need to download anything. It's a web app, just like, again, a Facebook, right? You can go to facebook.com and it's a website, but you can also be on the app. So that's the biggest difference.
Easy peasy.
Nothing to download.
But this is going to be revolutionary. We talked about these paradigm shift, but this is really charting a new AI course. And I have this image out here, this guy looking out their binoculars. The AI destination, that land is still far off. Now you can probably see it through binoculars, and I want us to start looking that in direction because at least it tells us where we should go and what we need to get there. This is part of the education process. A lot of what I'm going to say here is probably overwhelming, but I'm hoping that at some point you can reference back to this video and say, aha, he did mention to look out for that milestone, that pothole, that cliffside. Because what's going to happen with AI, it's going to totally flip marketing. Like I said in the past, marketing was really about directing buyers where and how to shop. They did all the work. With AI does the shopping. So those of you who have been going full-fledged into the SEO highway, you may need to do a U-turn. And that doesn't need to be sudden, but it may be gradual because you're also going to see with AI, it's going to go from traditionally marketing has been just at the top of the funnel, just attracting the audience, maybe getting a little engagement with apps to actually moving down the entire sales funnel. And that's where it converges marketing and sales online. It's if you look, we're using this whole travel theme. Marketing may get you in that limo and get you to the airport, but then you have to get out and take out all your luggage, find new seats, get on board the sales plane and take off again. What we want to do is like these car planes or whatever they're going to call them. You take off from your driveway, you land in my driveway and as the seller. And that seamless experience, I think will be revolutionary. And the interesting thing is Microsoft calls their AI co-pilots because it is like a co-pilot. You are flying the plane, but it's at your side whenever you need to. It'll warn you, hey, you're flying low, too high, or whatever, but it's going to get you to your destination. Because it's all about personalization. It knows where you want to go, which brings us to the Uber experience. These co-pilots are going to be your virtual buyer and sales assistants and agents. And I'll delineate the difference between assistant and agent later. But if you think about your Uber driver, he or she is multimodal. And what I mean from that is even before you get to actually meet the person, your Uber app is showing you how they look like, their phone number, where they're at. It shows you a map. And that's that multimodal, visual, textual, even verbal, you can call the person. It's also multi-channel so that you can start from your desktop and you can have this thing even prearranged, or you can be when you're at the airport on mobile device and summon it there. It's also multi-session. You've used it 10 times in 5 different cities. It knows your trends, your likes, your dislikes, what your needs are. You have a family with you on vacation now. You need a minivan instead of a sports coupe when it's just you and your spouse. So it adjusts to you. And in America here, maybe it's a little shocking, but there's a lot of people that speak other languages. So it needs to be multilingual communication. But where it becomes like an agent is that it can actually set appointments for you. It knows that you're landing at 2 o'clock. It knows to pick you up at 2:30. It can also handle your transactions with your credit cards. It actually tells you what that is up front. You just check in, check out, go about. That's the AI experience that I think will be extended to new home shopping. Sounds like utopia, huh?
Sounds like it. So I think for most listeners right now, where hopefully people are starting to play with some of these tools like ChatGPT and Claude and all the other AI personal assistants out there. But what John's talking about here is in the past, you had to browse through Google, say, and you type in keywords and it returns a bunch of websites to you that you have to go down and find your answer essentially. Where now with ChatGPT on all the other AI assistants, it actually returns the answer for you instead of sending you down this crazy goose chase through the websites. So this is like a preview of what's to come, right? Like right now, the shoppers have to go and find what they're looking for, go down the funnel, etc. Where later on, as AI personal shopping assistants evolve, they'll be able to bring that product to you just by you having conversation.
Yeah, it's just like that Uber experience. In the old days, you had to go and find a major boulevard, try to hail a cab with your thumb, and hopefully somebody will stop because you're more attractive to pick up than someone else. It was a lot of manual effort and a lot of risk, a lot of frustration, and you didn't know if you were going to get the product. With Uber, it brings it all to you.
Yes.
Okay, let's get a little deeper here. We are going to see this merging of AI traffic ahead, okay? And the interesting thing is people know about the big tech companies. Google, Meta, and Amazon that I have here. I don't think they think that they're always going to be driving in parallel in their own little segments, but they're actually merging on this highway. And AI is the conduit that's going to have them merge together. So you're going to have this seamless experience from top to bottom of funnel. The interesting thing is, it seems like Google is just catching up, but they actually started for a while, but because of their SEO business, they didn't want to disrupt themselves, but because companies like OpenAI with ChatGPT and even Amazon and Meta are doing it, they have to now change their business model. But let me show you where we're at and where we're going. All right, this gets a little scarier here, but hopefully for those of you who are doing marketing and sales, you have some recognition of this. And let's just focus on the items in white and gray, okay? Because you should be familiar with that. That should look like a sales funnel to you. And that's the current process that the buyers go through. And in white are the AI functions. AI has actually been around with machine learning and neural networks and all that jargon for a long time. That's how these big tech companies have succeeded, but it's all really been behind the scenes. What's really changed is the stuff in gold that has now totally changed the dynamics of the shopping experience, but I'll get to that in a second. Each of the big tech companies have really monetized a lane in that sales funnel. So when you look at Google, they're at the top of the funnel because they're involved with search. They're bringing the audience there and using that same old newspaper classification and keyword search method. They use the seller classification method to draw you there. And what kind of AI do they use? They use predictive AI with all their algorithms. Like when you put in these keywords, you're probably looking for this. And people that looked at that also looked at this. So they've been using that behind the scenes. Then social came along. They said, hey, people want to have affirmation, recommendations. They even somewhat to be influenced, or they want to influence others. So that's where conversational AI came in, and that's where social media and Meta, which is Facebook, got into the picture. It's helping you share, post, comment things about what their interests are, but it's also using some element of the prediction and optimization. So you're serving the right conversations. Hey, you like dogs, I like cats, to the right audience, so it resonates. And it's doing that. I like to look at this Meta icon as like an infinity symbol. It's doing personalization at a massive scale online. It's not generating the content. Its users are generating the content for free for them, but in sharing it and reacting to it, it's actually exponentially growing its user base. Now, down Amazon, everybody's used Amazon there. It's actually at the bottom of the funnel, and it really tackles the e-commerce lane, which they have utilized AI for optimization and transaction. Why optimization? It's about logistics. It's about supply chain. It's about price points. Optimizing all those assets to deliver to their clients great sales. In actuality, they've been doing search engines as well within their own marketplace. They're actually like the third ranked search engine, but it's within their marketplace, whereas Google is actually searching out, not searching within. And then with Amazon, they've actually shown this whole marketing to sales integration, because you can learn about the product, experience it, read reviews on it. That's like social media part of it, ratings and all that stuff. And you can also transact and even deliver to you. Amazon is probably a sense of where it's going. The new AI feature, and this is where it gets to the gold here, and we're going to start at the top. A lot of people think that Google searches is the top of the funnel. It is right now. But with AI, you're going to see a new top of the funnel. And that's where you're going to go from this classification approach where the buyer has to put themselves into a category, when you can't really just put me in a box. And maybe I don't even know how to define myself. I don't know how to define myself as 55 plus active adults. I'm saying, hey, we're a retiree couple, snowbirds coming from Minnesota. We like golfing and fine restaurants, and we like walking on the beach on sunset. The AI will take that lifestyle, those needs, and then place you, say, hey, this will be a perfect couple to live in Tampa because the sun sets on the west side of Florida. It's close to an airport, so they can fly in and out. It has great restaurants nearby. It's that context that actually makes it a much better search engine, because instead of humans in this classification approach trying to speak like robots, and jargon that doesn't even understand to say, and especially in a different language, to now the bot is understanding in a human natural language as well as images. Maybe you upload an image, this is the lifestyle I'm looking for. And using that image search, the AI finds it for you. Sounds pretty cool, huh?
It is. It's been the biggest breakthrough, I think, is that the machines learn to speak human.
Exactly. I'm surprised that all these humans have been learning how to speak like robots. It's crazy. And the great thing about this new AI function is called generative AI. And that's where you get GPT, generative pre-trained, because it's been pre-trained on what the human shopping behavior is. And it's looking at a massive population of the patterns and of behavior. It's been pre-trained on all that data across the internet for all these years. And then it's transforming it into a way that's meaningful for its owner. And what it does is so amazing is instead of directing you to these disparate websites, and it's like playing a shell game here. Good luck finding the right luck of the draw here. It collects meaningful information across maybe multitudes of websites. It synthesizes that into something that particularly you're asking for, and then it presents it to you in a paragraph or an image. That's why it's multimodally. And that's how it is as assistant to take you down this sales funnel. Now, where it can become an agent is now you're going from a buyer expression of what you're looking for to a buyer conversion. It helps you with the transactions, and that makes a much better customer experience. Now, let's go over to the AI representations of Google, Meta, and Amazon. Google uses Gemini. That's their AI platform. It actually was called Duet, and then it was Bard, and now they settled on Gemini. Meta actually calls theirs Llama, and it uses this llama icon right now. I think they'll probably change the name later on. Maybe when it gets into the metaverse, who knows if that's going to happen. Amazon uses the Anthropic large language model, and they use Claude, which is Anya's favorite. And actually, Claude is the smartest one right now. And it's been taught a lot through Amazon. Those are the AI that will now help the buyer move down the sales funnel, because all of these big tech companies are no longer just picking one lane. They're all merging that whole AI lane for each individual shopper to move down their personal funnels. Now, what's this orange stuff on the side here? You don't want to alienate or lose half your audience or 90% of your audience because you're not speaking the same language. So there are these other, and I'm calling them cross AI translators, so I don't use all these jargon you don't understand. Basically, they're your translators for Gemini to speak to Llama, to speak to Anthropic. Actually, we were at the Google conference last week with 30,000 developers there, and they use Vertex, and Vertex now can speak to 30 different languages. And like Poe, same thing. You can actually choose which language you want to speak. But it's not just which language you want to speak. Certain ones have certain strengths. Some are good at showing visuals. Some things are good at writing poetry. So whatever your needs are. And Perplexity also lets you speak in different ones, and Hugging Face as well. So that's how this whole thing is going to work. It's going to really help the buyer down their sales journey.
And I think just so our audience is on the same page with us. So if you guys have been playing with AI, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever, like for example, ChatGPT allows you to go into settings and add information about yourself so that when you search for something, it returns information that's relevant to that. So for example, I've input my job description, etc. And so when I search on certain topics, it returns results for me that are appropriate for me, for example, to post on my social media. And sometimes when I ask it out of the left field questions, not related to necessarily work, it'll say this topic may not be appropriate to discuss with your audience before it gives me an answer, which is pretty cool. It's not only taking your personal criteria, but also your likes and dislikes. It learns about you. So that's what makes it so personalized to you. It's not just returning top 10 websites that somebody paid to be ranked. It's returning information that's relevant to you.
Yeah, so the $1 million question is a lot of these builders, obviously they're for profit, and the owners are saying, okay, this is cool. It helps me make a recipe or find something in the garden or something like that. But how's this going to change my business? And how's this really going to change our industry? And this is where we're just at the cusp of all this happening, that everybody has been playing with the generative stuff because that's the cool stuff. And you as a user, even as an employee, are using it for productivity purposes or to generate ideas and have it help you with your grammar. I'm going to show you here how across and down the sales funnel there, all these AI capabilities will help you sell your products and satisfy your customers. So if you look at this chart here, the things that are important to you are the things in orange, because that's the stuff that relates to your enterprise, your business. The things in blue are generally what's marketing dominated right now. And the things in yellow are really the features of what the salespeople are involved with. Like I said, it bleeds into each other now. So now that we have a new top of funnel, which is using generative content from AI, the production of that content on the seller side there is going to be much more productive because they can create that personalized content that's meaningful to different demographics and user bases, lifestyles, needs, and all that kind of stuff. Basically, the marketing people have a AI virtual assistant to help them. On the buyer side, the reason they like it is because now with generative, they can start where they want to start. They start in their own open-ended, whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about septic tanks, new home financing, what is a smart home, what is a green home, even before you're actually searching for your home. So that's why I don't say it's naturally, it's not necessarily a search, it's an initiation of a discovery or exploration phase. And generative AI can help you with that because it doesn't necessarily need to look at your proprietary builder information at that point. And that may be 6 months before you actually get to the next shopping phase. That's why coming back with recall, memory, multi-session is so meaningful. And the beautiful thing about that multi-session piece is when you're actually shopping, you may not ask about septic tanks again or certain lifestyle and all that stuff, but the AI has put that into the recall so that later on in this next phase of prediction, it's utilizing all your questions that you even forgot you asked 6 months ago, or things that you have shopped online and are who you communicated with, and bringing all that into the picture.
You guys can think about recall now as the reason why I love using Claude so much, for example, as opposed to ChatGPT, is I feel it has better recall. So I no longer have to prompt it with a ton of information for it to give me great answers. It already knows who I am. It already learned about me. So now I can just say a short paragraph what I wanted to do without giving it 10 paragraphs of background story information. And that's recall.
Rumor is that Apple is going to put AI on a chip, but it's that AI on a chip is really your mobile device, which we all live with and maybe even die with, in their worldwide conference in June. And with that AI chip, because you've had it say for 10 years now, it knows who you talk to. It knows where you've been because it sees your maps. It knows maybe what you shop because it has their Apple Pay and so it knows so much about you that when you are ready to shop for a new home, it already brings all that into the conversation in your profile. So you don't have to regurgitate things that you probably wouldn't even describe yourself as. So the orange line there, this is actually where the builders are going to have to pick up the ball here, because to realize all these other AI features, which is proprietary to your organization, your products, your business, you don't want the general AI to be able to easily tap into that. You're going to have your own AI here that represents your brand, not just knowing the products that you have, but presenting it in the style that you want to represent yourself. That is part of your brand. She is your salesperson and she is your counselor. If you're able to build that, what it affords you is on the buyer side now, you can get recommendations because buyers, they need help. That's why they have real estate agents. They need guides. They don't understand real estate jargon or construction jargon. First time buying a new home, what the process financially is. They need recommendations, and that predictive element, knowing shopping profiles, buyer profiles, as well as product availability and characteristics, helps in that recommendation. On the sell side of it, and this is all done automatically, it now can give you personalization, because I think the new home shopping experience is a very personalized experience. It's your house. It's not just a new house. Later on, as they get further down the funnel, they want to have a conversation about it because it's very complex. They have a lot of questions, and everybody's used to texting and communication threads. So now on the buyer side, it affords them collaboration, not just collaboration with the AI, but we're also going to bring their co-buyers into the conversation, or bring in the construction person or the real estate agent or whatever the expert is. But there's also going to be AI experts with specialties in accounting and finance and law that could be part of that AI conversation. What that affords sellers to do without a high cost of hiring all these specialized functions, consultation. That's where you start to be a concierge. That's great value for both sides. Then when it gets down to optimization, it's not just the business side that wants to optimize selling the right house at the right price at the right time to the right person. But the buyer wants to optimize because they're comparison shopping. At the end of the day, they got to take 100 houses and figure out the one house with all the features and the location, the needs, and everything that they want. AI is great at problem solving. It can take all your parameters, say, here are the top 5 houses, and then rank them from 1 to 5 and explain why. Now, as a seller side, with your optimization, you can give direction because you're saying, hey, this person actually wants to live under power lines, is okay with that. Nobody else does. I'll put them over there and they're happy. We're happy. And then finally, so much has been dropped here at the last stage, and the buyers want convenience. They're shopping from across the country. They don't want to meet with you to sign the papers. They want to have somebody be able to read that 30-page contract and kind of hit the high points. AI can do that, or summarize in a language I understand, or translate to Spanish, because I know I'm signing an English contract, but I need to read it in Spanish, or tell me what's wrong with the inspection report. That convenience reduces fear, reduces frustration, and on the seller side, it helps with conversion. And so what does this all mean? Because everybody always say, hey, the holy grail is to give a great customer experience because they'll share about us, they'll love us, they'll come back for more. And the other side is about profit. I think utilizing AI, you can hit both customer experience and profit maximization.
And we're already starting to see some of those conveniences. So real life example, my mom went to a doctor and they sent her a report, and normally I would have to sit there and translate for her what it means, which my Russian is not that great, and especially medical terms. So I just copied and I pasted into ChatGPT and I said translate it, and I just emailed it over to her. So that was awesome.
As a builder, you no longer have to just sell in the US. You can sell across the world.
Yep, speak their language, literally.
With all these AI changes, it's going to completely change the business model. Currently, if you're Miss Buyer here, you have to go and shop what I call disconnected channels. None of these channels are related to each other in terms of ownership. So Google does not own your builder website. Zillow doesn't own your builder website. What you're doing here is you're paying for advertising up front as a builder. And you start off at the top of the funnel. And what your goal is with advertising is to drive the buyers through all of these channel funnels. Each channel is actually a funnel in itself. And what we're really doing to the buyers is what I call channel surfing. You're forcing them to go surf different channels to get to, ultimately, they want to buy your product, but you're making them go through all these things and you're paying for it. So Miss Buyer has a choice to start out this arduous journey, choose a search engine. But if I choose search engines, I have to describe what I want in 5 keywords: new homes, Raleigh, North Carolina. That's about all I can take. Otherwise, if I go too much further, it won't show me anything. But if I say too little, it shows me everything. But you maybe enough, you get to a sweet spot there. And so on the search engine, what it does is it says, hey, I'm going to put you out here in the left field of haystacks because you're looking for homes. You're not looking for cars. But what happens is, now you got all these haystacks of builders' websites. And the crazy part is it may not necessarily be the best fit for you because it doesn't really know, because you just said new homes Raleigh. I mean, it's like anything. It brings the ones that pay the most, which is the higher ranking ones, basically at your entrance. So when you walk into this field, you see the ones that pay the most. The one that you may like is actually probably 50 rows back, but you're probably never going to get there. And the other irony is, not only did the search engine just get you to a bunch of haystacks, but when you go into those haystacks, there is no search engine to find the needle. So you don't even know if there's a needle in there that fits you, that you want, or maybe it's the next haystack. And now do I got to repeat and do that again? The other way you can do it here is you go to a portal aggregator, say like a Zillow, Realtor.com, New Home Source. So what they've done to help you out is they put all the eggs in one basket there. So they say, hey, we have a wonderful park, smell the roses, enjoy your, looking around, everything. We have that purple egg with yellow stars that you're looking for. It's somewhere in here. You'll find it. But guess what? When you find it, there's no Easter egg basket. You have to carry that and go to a builder's website. We'll link it to it, but you have to actually leave our channel to go to that channel. Okay, so now you go to that channel there, but the channel says, wait a minute, actually it's not available in red. Or it's not available at this price point or this location or whatever. So there's all these issues here where the builder is paying upfront to drive traffic to them across all these different channels. And the crazy part is you may actually be paying twice as a builder because you may be paying Zillow to advertise on there. Zillow's using some of your money to take top rank on the search engine, which actually increases the bid that you would have to pay to be on the search engine, to now go to the portal to then come back to your website. The definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So what happens is the buyer comes in here, goes through all this cost and time, goes to a builder's website, maybe you can go all the way down to the community center and then they can't find what they want, start the process over, go to the next builder's website and keep doing that over and over again. At some point here, it wears and tears them down. There's got to be a better way. Or even on the portals, they may even get hijacked by an agent to take them to a used home because frankly, that's easier, cheaper. I know what I get. I didn't get exactly what I want, but I don't know if I ever find that needle in the haystack the way it's going. And it's a premium. With AI, what we're allowed to do, like the Uber experience, is we're able to let the buyer express her needs, desires, wants, constraints, and then it pulls across the internet from portals. I'm not saying portals will disappear. Portals will still have a lot of data there. Maybe what is new construction financing? What are the latest trends? It pulls information from there that you would not find, say, on the builder's websites. The builder's website will pull specific stuff to their products, their pricing, their team. From the sales center, maybe talks about the communities. So it's able to pull whatever open-ended question that you want and brings it to you. And when I say it brings it to you, like I said earlier, it collects it, it synthesizes it. And then now you can say, hey, I want to see more of this. I don't want to see more of this. If I want to see more of this, not only do I want this to be in my conversation and I have reference to it and I can link out to the builder's website, but I want to be notified when other ones come up. So what it does is not only helps you shop, it eliminates that other big fear, which is the fear of missing out. Because why, if they're in one of those haystacks, if you came back tomorrow, your perfect dream house was there, you would never know the way you have to search. Now AI says, hey, I'm gonna give you first dibs on you because this house is perfect for you. So you don't have to work and I'm happy to please you.
And we're already starting to see some of this because, for example, companies like Zillow and Realtor.com, they're adding ChatGPT plugins to their marketplaces. So when you come into their marketplace, instead of searching, you just have a conversation and it pulls it up for you. Same thing with builder websites. We're starting to see AI chat being installed on some of them. So it's the beginning of this. So it makes sense.
Right. So as the portals and the search engines start to utilize AI, this is going to come back to your storefront. You have to have as good of an experience for that customer, or at least let them start where they left off, even if they were brought there by another portal, so that it's not a downer or let down when they get to your store. If anything, they're supposed to be more excited and more engaged. So you have to bring all that tech with it. And in the middle there, I'm telling you, there's some macro events that's happening right now that probably will drive this further toward the right. One is this AI technology, which hundreds of companies are spending billions of dollars on. There's also this cost incentive, like I was showing you through all the AI facilitation of the process, and letting you only pay for performance, because unlike paying for advertising, which you don't know if you're going to get the advertising buck, and actually the more popular the word is, the more expensive it gets. If you only pay at the bottom of the funnel, which you pay for performance, just like you would pay Amazon if they sold your shoes, or Apple if they sold your app, you pay for performance. And what will be the performance be? One, and I call these the 3 C's: lead capture. Maybe you pay $10 to get a lead, and these are engaged leads because they signed up for AI. lead curation and move them down a certain funnel, saving favorites, or they visited your sales center. And then finally, maybe $500 per conversion or something like that. So I think it's a reasonable thing. It's a variable cost as opposed to a risky upfront cost. The other big thing that's happened is the NAR settlement. That was a $418 million settlement there. And what that basically will do is the buyers they would have to pay for their own buyer's agent if they want to do that. And they may not want to spend that money. But what the builders can incentivize, hey, I'm still willing to give 3% or some maybe 2% or whatever, but I'll give it back to the buyers if they do it themselves. So not only does the buyer now save money, they actually can make money. And maybe now they can afford that house or their monthly payments is better or whatever. That will entail better DIY, DTC, direct to consumer technologies. And that's incumbent upon AI helping you. And what I call on this side, I call this bell hopping. This is my own little term here because we're in this traveling theme. In the 19th century, when you go to a hotel as a guest, when you need something, you ring the bell and the staff hops to it. They deliver whatever you need. They give you guidance and they're your concierge. That's that concierge experience that the consumer wants. With a tap on their app, they get what they need. All right. If you stay with me this far, you're almost down the home stretch here. All the stuff that I've been talking about with the funnels, this is how it looks like visually, okay? So at the top of the funnel, you're using SEO, search engine optimization, using social, and even maybe a portal site to funnel the buyers to a sale. There's two elements to marketing. There's actually content and channels. Okay, so you have to have good content to bait them in, the channels to channel them down. But in addition to that, there's pull versus push marketing. In the funnel thing, because you want as big of a mouth at the top, the biggest audience you can, you use pull marketing at top. So you bring the people to the product. You talk about how great it is. You show up on search engines. That's where Google and Facebook do their best, okay? Costs a lot of money. It's competitive. Okay, but you moved them down the funnel. Now, as you get further down the funnel, they're more serious about their products. There's all these constraints where there's financing, location, all these other things there. And that's where a human is so critical right now for new homes. That's where the OSC comes in. Their handoff between, say, online, offline even, but they are practicing push marketing. So they bring the product to the people because buying a new house is not just buying one whole house. You're buying in pieces and parts. So there's some things that don't fit and some things that fit perfectly. And they're also a filter. They're the filter in this coffee machine here that they got to take out all the bad and ugly leads. You only want the good leads. You want the coffee, not the grounds. And there's a cost to that. So you spend a little bit for a great OSC. And at the bottom there, say a checkout like Amazon, and now you've got the buyer and the product together. Now, that's the traditional way. And if you see on the right, you can see it visually where you're on the search engine, you say, hey, Italian restaurants. Okay, Italian restaurants. Now it shows up all these Italian restaurants. And then on the social media feed, you see all these likes and loves. And so now you have this affirmation and now this is a cool place to live kind of thing or a cool restaurant to go to. So that's good. You need to start to make them validate them, make them feel comfortable. But then when you get inside the restaurant, depending on what the person orders, Anya orders veal parmesan and I order shrimp scampi. We want the waiter to be, as the expert, to recommend the right product for what we have selected off the menu. So that's where the OSCs come in. They're bringing the product to the people. I recommend. And this is off the Google ratings algorithms, and they actually use this at the search engine top, but now that they're moving down the funnel, they're also going to use this in the push marketing side. What they're looking for in their AI to be trained on, because the AI isn't just on the sommelier, it's learned from other great sommeliers of pairings and everything. You have to be a source, and builders have an opportunity to be that source of experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness to the AI. Before, your brand was to convey that to the consumer, has now subordinated that responsibility to the AI. So you have to show your brand to the AI for the AI to bring your brand into the conversation. Got it?
It's tricky because before you could cheat the system and just pay for SEO and not have all this great stuff on your website. But now with AI, you have to have all this great stuff on your website. You can't just pay keywords and AI will find you.
The interesting thing is Google, and this shows you that they're moving from top of the funnel all the way through the funnel. They have spent $200 million to have access to Reddit's information data. And Reddit has, I think, 20 million conversations of people. It's like a social news network. And then based on how much they like it and refer it, it's an affirmation of some validity or popularity or whatever. So it's trying to use an objective way and a massive scale to do that. So it's pulling from that, and some people pulling from Wikipedia, Getty Images for stock photos, even, and of course they have the internet websites. They're pulling all that so you not only you not hallucinate, but you actually have validated or vetted sources.
Hopefully you spend all this time building all that great organic content on your websites.
Yeah, and the other thing about Google maybe going all the way down the funnel is last week there's speculation that they may buy HubSpot, which is a CRM. There's no reason to be a CRM unless you're going to get to the sales part of things. The one nice thing about the CRM of buying HubSpot, it's a $33 billion acquisition, so it's a huge bite investment, is that it has millions of conversations of how an OSC should behave, how you should treat a customer in the process, but it also is across multiple industries. The one thing about buying a new home is you've probably bought a million other things, whether it's a flight ticket to Italy or what you ate for dinner last night or whatever. All that kind of stuff is now, if it's using a CRM for maybe a complex purchase, a consumer good, it could use that information about that particular product industry to probably figure out correlations of what you would like as a new home buyer. And that's huge valuable information because CRMs are involved in that sales process.
You can already see Google being involved in transactions. You can book travel on Google, and when you search for results, it returns shop versus all the other results. So they're already been in the sales.
Yeah, and I think what will happen is Google is going to expand that, because right now you can find flights, you can find prices, you can find airlines, you can find schedules and all that. But what now you can now describe to Google, we're going to stick with this Italian theme. How's this my Italian dream vacation going to be like? I want to visit the vineyards. I want to visit the Colosseum. I want to have a great restaurant experience. It can now find not just the flight to get there, but all the things that you want to do there, because it's looking at it in a conversational assistant way. And also Salesforce is actually the biggest CRM there, and they're starting from the CRM and going to the top of funnel because they have invested in AI. They've OpenAI and other AIs, but they also bought U.com, which is a search engine. So they're saying, hey, start from the search and get all the way down to the purchase. And they're also looking to buy Informatica now, which has tons of data as well about consumers. Okay, without getting onto all their businesses here, what we're going to see with this AI transition is you may see this shift from being a funnel sales and marketing process to a flywheel. And where you're going to go is from a SEO to what is an intermediary step right now with Google. They're calling it SGE, which is, instead of a search engine optimization, it's a search generative experience. So you're still using search, but it generates a unique experience for you. But ultimately, I believe that they're going to call it AIO, which is artificial intelligence optimization. And keeping with our transportation theme, where I'm calling this a buy cycle flywheel as opposed to a sales cycle, because I think we should be more buyer centric, because this is all about what the buyer is doing and how the seller reacts to it. And what an AI marketing would do is it's not just pull marketing for technology and push marketing using humans, but it's doing both push and pull marketing. It's pulling the audience there. It's also then pushing your products to them. And in going from a funnel to a flywheel, you're going to go from a herded approach to being heard approach, because the buyers need to be heard. They don't want to be herded. And the way they do that is they're no longer be put in a classification or a category and say, you're a cow, so you need to go down this chute. And you're a pig, you go down this one. No, I'm going to express what I want, and I want to be heard, and you react to me. And so what would happen in this flywheel of a buy cycle and I call it acronym pedals. You're going to push the pedals. AI is going to push the pedals. You start off with personalization first. And with personalization, how is that done with AI? It's using generative AI. It's generating the content that it will resonate with you. Okay. Personalization drives engagement. At the end of the day, after you attract the audience, you need to have engagement. Otherwise, they leave. And I actually think that's where a lot of holes are in the funnel right now. There's a lot of people are not having engagement and they leak out. Engagement requires also generative AI, but it's what like we do with our design apps. We are generating visualizations, color schemes, floor plan options on the fly. So it goes a little bit from personalization to customization, but it's all about engagement, but it's using generative rendering engines, if you want to call it that. That engagement generates data. Data is actually the gold today. That data allows the seller or the AI to become predictive, because it started out with a few bits of data out there that thinks that you like. As you react to it through your engagement, says, actually, I don't like red houses. I actually like blue houses. I actually don't like colonial. I like farmhouse. And so as you engage, it generates new data. It refines it. So I thought I had Anya pegged. No, I don't. And so now that data that you have generated through your interactions feeds the AI. Now AI can jump into the conversation and say, hey, Anya, man, do I have a farmhouse for you? It's in the soft blue and it has stone. And so now it's having a conversation to help curate that lead. And so the AI would help generate that lead can now be optimized. Like I said, on the other side, when it was a funnel, there was a human that curated that lead. It brought the right products. I think this white wine would go well with your fish. It was the expert. And it also says, hey, you actually can't afford champagne, so I'm going to filter you out from the champagne recommendation. The optimization piece. Yeah, so the optimization can do it in a very practical way, but also not in an insulting way. And it's doing it at a massive scale online. So I don't think we eliminate the OSCs. I think we help the OSCs have a cheat sheet to work from. And maybe you don't need as many OSCs, or you have the right OSCs for the right customers that need that extra handholding. The ones that are more on autopilot just have a few little questions that the AI can answer, let them handle that. It's more efficient. And it also could filter out the bad leads. Hey, we actually just don't have anything for you. You don't even need to talk to a human to reject you. It's a lot easier to get rejected by AI because you don't have to even be polite to it as a buyer.
Polite. You don't want the Terminator coming.
No, I say as a buyer, I don't have to say, actually, I don't want to visit your house. I don't want to see AI can take it. It's like, but as a human, you actually have to let the human down. I'm actually worried about the salesperson, not the, but the leads there, that lead conversion is the sales. And that's what it's all about. And that AI there is the transaction piece. It should really facilitate that transaction, have everything already digitally signed, online, referenceable, even transactable through ACH, credit cards, whatever you want to do there. AI can help with that because it can actually go out to the other AI agents in the fintech world and make that transaction happen without sharing all your privacy and all those things, because it already has your information in that Apple Card. You'll pay more for that bottom of the funnel piece, but it's worth more. And that's why there's a bigger dollar sign on the sales side, but you didn't spend it all up front on the SEO that you may not got anything. That sales transaction now improves the personalization. So the next person that's like Anya, that has similar tastes, similar constraints and needs, and it will have a better pitch the next time. And the cycle gets faster and faster, smarter and smarter at a massive scale online. And you can see in those red boxes down there, this is where the advantage versus a funnel is. The funnel ends up in a bottleneck. It can only take so much through and it gets clogged up. Even the OSCs can get fed up or blocked up there. So there's a bottleneck versus the AI is at scale. And actually, the more you give the AI, the happier it is, the smarter it is, the better that it can look at patterns across the population. Like for us, we have 20,000 homes across 250 builders and thousands of communities. It's looking at things that a builder cannot see themselves because they're in the trenches, but they also don't look at across the population of the whole industry. That's where the AI does its best.
Yeah, this is really exciting for marketing, because this is what we as marketers strive to do, right? Like we take something that people responded to and then we try to improve it. And then as we get improved version, we send it down the funnel. But AI is doing that for you much faster. So yeah, this is really exciting. So that means your lead acquisition is going to be much better, much easier, and less cost, more cost effective, because you can get the right information in front of right people who are like, yes, this is exactly what I want. So instead of pulling them in.
Yeah, now the downside is it will take time, just like when you first got on a bicycle. First of all, you may fall over a few times, you need a little training. But second of all, is to get that momentum going, you're going to need to collect data to see what works and what doesn't work. But once it gets rolling and it's on cruise control, you can take your foot off the pedals in a sense, because the system will just be turning and it'll be less work. But the upfront work is providing it the data and then collecting it for the AI to use for. Okay, let's talk about some of the first steps and milestones of getting this started here. And it's baby steps. And we're going to help hold you and guide you through this. The first step really is to make everything smart, and everything is becoming smart around you. You've had a smartphone for years, or got a smart watch, you got smart kitchen appliances, you got smart cards, smart TVs, they connect to the internet and everything. Smart cars, and we're on this traveling theme now. You get in your car now, it tells me there's a car next to me on a blind spot. I don't even turn my head anymore. It tells me I can just, whoever I want to call, I can talk to it. It warns me that the car in front of me just left or moved or what. It just guides everything. I become dependent upon it, but it's not because I'm lazy. It's because it's my, it helps me in being a safe driver and more efficient.
When we talk about smart content here, we primarily talk about interactive content, because that is the content that you can actually tell what people are doing, right? If I'm just showing a picture and I can't do anything with that picture, it's a static image, it doesn't give you a whole lot of information. It's dumb, it's not smart. But if I have an interactive design tool where I can change the colors, I can change the options, all of that, every click is recorded on the other side, so it generates data, therefore it's a smart content. So concentrate on really primarily making sure you have great interactive content.
Exactly. And that actually gets to the second bullet point. But before I get to that, that making everything smart also means that when it's smart, it actually can speak multimodally, intelligently. So, like I said, through text, through voice, through visuals, because the marketing is really about connecting buyers and sellers, which is really about communication. The more senses that you can bring into the conversation, the more that you will connect, but also communicate effectively, not just so that the AI understands what you want, but the builder also sees the same thing, is on the same page, or even your spouse. So being able to speak multimodally, intelligently is important. That's going to require it to be across your channels and your systems. But what you're talking about also is that interactive content piece. Your content and your data needs to be multifaceted, because that same house could be just as appealing for a newlywed couple versus as well as a retiree couple. It needs to have in its DNA, in its description, in its tags, that it that it appeals to both, and what is the appealing message for both that can be AI generated. The other thing that you actually have to do is you have to show all your content and all its possibilities, because a lot of builders say, I'm just going to use one representation of that house, and okay, let's show it in red. If you only show it in red and AI comes across and it only sees it in red, it will only see red. And so if somebody asks, hey, do they offer blue houses? It's going to say, no, they only show red. Or it's going to hallucinate, says, pink is very popular because of Barbie houses now, so we'll throw it in pink. So it's going to hallucinate, make up the difference. You need to show it what your true colors are so it can represent you. You can't blame the AI. You have to blame your content, your data. And a lot of people ask, why don't I just turn on the AI whenever it's popular? The problem is, one, I said you have to have an app first. So you have to go for something to give you that interactive content. But the second thing is AI is dumb without data. Just like if you went to this wonderful trip to Italy here, you better figure out where you're going to go. Ask for your time off, get your passport, I know, schedule a vacation, like I said, and pack your clothes for the things you're going to do. Right now is the time to start packing that multifaceted data. When you start collecting that data, it has a history to look back on. The nice thing with what we've done at Nugo, since we introduced apps in 2020, we've captured millions of bits of data between buyers, builders, products, home sites, styles, and all that stuff. And it's been growing exponentially organically on its own without us spending any money. I think last year we had 8 million visitors across our network, 4 million a year before. I think this year we're getting 16 million. That becomes a large language model about this industry that I think is probably unprecedented, especially when you get to the design elements of things that the AI could tap into. Maybe the AI will use us as a reference point for that. But the one thing is, if you only show your data one dimensionally, or just like in a naming convention, we call it CameronB.jpg, the AI won't know what to do with it because it doesn't know what CameronB.jpg is in the whole scheme of things. Okay, it may give you a movie star Cameron instead. So what happens is buyers are not one dimensional. So your data cannot be one dimensional. It needs to be multifaceted. And just like going on a trip here, you have to choose the right AI for the destination that you're going as a marketer, as a builder. There's many different vehicles out there. And just like if you're going to in the snow, you're going to pick a different vehicle. If you're bringing your family, bring a minivan or something. There's AI that you may have to qualify based on this power, and it's measured by tokens, how many tokens can it process and all that. But even like memory, how much recall? I think ChatGPT has 300 pages of memory now. Claude may even be more now because there's so many products and stuff that Claude is using in Anthropic. Applications, what is your use case? Are you using it to write marketing stuff? Are you using it to generate videos? Are you using it for natural language processing in a cell center to have a conversation verbally? All the different modes, like I talk about. The availability of this to the consumers is having that the language that is most common in a sense. And then obviously the security piece, because if you can get hacked into, it could be devastating for your business and the consumer. So those are the first steps. It already sounds pretty daunting, but there are some milestones, I think, to really make this very popular. Some of the things that you may have to do now, instead of just having a general store, website store with all generic static content, you're really going to have a shopping cart, just like you would for a Netflix account, an Amazon account, a Facebook account, Uber account, like everything else. It's normal. It's not revolutionary. That buyer's portal is where they need to have all their stuff stored, like their shopping cart. Just like you go on a trip, you pack your own luggage, your kid has one, I have one, or whatever, and it has your stuff in there. As you go across different vehicles and onto the plane, it goes with you. You don't have to repack, unpack, move to a different luggage. It's all going with you. That is their shopping cart. That is their web page. What we do with the app, what's the nice thing about an app, if you've seen other website apps, it dynamically generates your own account and your web page. So when you go from the department store lobby and it has the brand look and feel, but now you're in Anya's dressing room, if you like Barbie pink, your dressing room is in Barbie pink. It's going to reflect who you are and what you want to see and take out the things that you don't care to see.
I use Rent the Runway, for example, for clothing. So instead of logging in and seeing all the outfits, I have my favorites saved by occasion. So it takes me directly into my dressing room.
Exactly. And your house is your dream house. You may care about the doggy door. Nobody else cares about it. They don't need to see the doggy door. You want to see it. So that's perfect. And it needs to be end-to-end platform. I don't care whether you're buying a new home across the street or across the country. You need to be able to do it online, and the AI assistants need to work with you across that channel, because otherwise you're leaving it halfway through the process and now you're on your own again. You actually need it more further down the funnel in consultation than you need it at the top. We also want to be a seamless customer journey. On that trip to Italy, if every time you had to buy a new ticket, every time you land somewhere, you're going to go crazy because you may get bumped off. You need to have that assurance, that transfer ticket immediately takes you off. It tells you where your gate is. It's all on your app. You just scan the QR code. You're in and out. You're on the bus. What we want to do in that seamless customer journey is obviously we need to create an ecosystem. So we need to tie all of our channels together, which we have the Nugo marketplace there. If you want to shop across all the builders, you have your builder's website, which is around your brand, your company's products. And then when you get to the community sales center to learn about the community, the thing, it needs to be like Netflix. You need to start where you left off. Nobody wants to go to the next channel to go, like I said, channel surfing, start back over again. It's you got them so close to buying and now you took them back to square one. Who wants that? So it needs to be, I call it swallow here, but start where you left off, cross-channel shopping. And then your agent, your AI agent needs to be able to speak to my AI agent, because my AI agent may be, I start with Gemini. But when I go to your store, has Sophie. Well, Sophie needs to be able to speak to Gemini. Sophie speaks on behalf of the company in the way, in the style, and in knowing what products it wants to sell, who it wants to sell to, and access to all the product information. You don't need Gemini getting into all that business, but you need to convey that to the person that's shopping through Gemini. And that's where it's using that Vertex like backbone to be the translator. Okay. There are going to be some AI roadblocks. I mean, it's a rough road. It's never going on vacation is never a vacation. Sometimes you got to go through the rough roads to get to your destination. And one of the biggest knocks on AI right now, because it's just a baby, it's really been learning. It's really only been out for a year and a half. It's still learning, but it goes off the rails, and that's in their world called hallucination. So if it doesn't see what it has learned or can recognize, it makes it up. It makes a good guess, but its guess is so compelling, so convincing, you believe it. Take this medicine. Oh yeah, sure, sounds great. So the reason that it hallucinates because it lacks data. And so in the meantime, we put guardrails around it. So when you get around that curve on that cliff, you don't go off the rails. But like we learned at that Google conference, they call this new term grounding because they've been slammed for this, that they want to ground even the guardrails into solid ground. So when you hit that guardrail, you don't just still go off the cliff. And what they've grounded in is, like I said, with Reddit and some other sources, but they've also grounded it in what they've actually vetted through its EEAT, Google algorithms all across different websites for all these years. For builders, they need to ground it to their proprietary data, so that it's not going to sell it at a price that is not valid and show houses that are not available. The next thing that you have to do once you get this AI database, you got to make sure that database isn't a bridge to nowhere. Last thing you want to do is keep going full throttle and then go flying off the bridge. You cannot have siloed data. That data needs to be connected to other systems. Where's your ERP, maybe the CRM. Now, if Google buys CRM, then you solve two problems in one. But it also, that data needs to be bi-directional. It cannot just be going one way. It needs to get feedback based on what the AI is telling the system. Hey, Anya doesn't like that. Don't show me that again, whatever. Worst thing is to get to your wonderful destination, that resort, that community that you're looking for, and it's gated and it's locked and you need a password. You need to call someone. They're not available and there's a dog outside. That gated content could end a wonderful journey. And if you have to log in again and you can't access it personally, that means your AI probably can't get through it either. And one sure tell sign is not just the login again, but you have to go to a different domain. A lot of apps, including ours right now, are iframed into the website. So you're actually going to abcbuilder.com, but then when you use the interactive tool, you're going to inugo.com. We're solving that by actually making the whole website an interactive web app. So all the traffic stays on there, one login, complete access, but still all the privacy in a buyer's portal. So we're going to have to start to move down these barriers so that AI can accompany you all the way in.
Yeah, big cautionary tale on gated content. I feel like more and more builders are going back to gated content recently. I guess it's the desire for more leads, but it's at the cost of AI can't access gated content. And if it can't access it, it's not going to be able to bring it to your buyers. It's not going to be searchable to begin with. So just something to think about.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that is really they gate a lot of content because they're assuming human shoppers are going to log in with their email address and their contact information. If the AI is acting almost like my real estate agent, it may not reveal who the actual buyer is. It's saying, hey, I'm shopping on behalf of, you don't need to know yet. And so let me in, I'll vet you out, and then I'll bring in Anya when we like your community. But if you lock me out the gate, guess what? Anya will never see it and she's not going to sign in anyway. That's going to be a realization that a lot of people are going to get shocked with, because on your road to success here, this is the roadmap. If you can't do this, I won't say you shouldn't do it at all. You're going to be forced to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be out of business in the future. But just like when we went from print to digital, people said, I don't want this SEO stuff. Let's pain in the butt. And I got to do all these keywords and you had to become SEO friendly. Otherwise, if you didn't show up on Google, you actually virtually don't exist. Then when apps came out and mobile, the stupid iPhone stuff, I don't want people to set up for all that stuff. It cost me a lot of money making mobile friendly, responsive design. And guess what? Now about 70, 80% of people start and maybe even finish shopping on their mobile. So you had to make it mobile friendly, even mobile first. Now, if AI becomes the top of the funnel now, superseding SEO at the top of the funnel and maybe all the way at the bottom in the transaction, you also have to be AI friendly, if not AI first. If you aren't and somebody else is, you're at a disadvantage. So what that entails is the AI needs to, what you need to have is AI searchable, learnable, and retrievable content and channels. That's a huge lift, but just think about it. We had to do that when we went from print, which is all analog, to digital, which is websites. That was done. This is actually evolution of digital. So it can be done, and there's a lot of resources out there. But if the AI cannot search your data, if it cannot learn from your data, and it cannot retrieve from that data, and what you call a GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, if it cannot transform that data, it's actually going to be useless data. The other part that I'm saying is AI does the shopping. Guess what? AI sees things differently. Right now, your channels, your website is geared for human eyes, and human eyes need to see things. It needs to be able to read the font, it needs to see it the right size, it needs to know where to scroll, how to navigate, it needs to have links and pages and buttons, and needs to, certain colors can't go well with certain backgrounds and font sizes and all this stuff, and about all your branding colors that appeals to your audience. AI doesn't care. It's like my car. It sees what's in the blind spot without me turning my head. It sees what the speed limit is for that area. It sees that I'm getting too close to the car in front of me. AI only sees and brings back the content that its owner or its master asked to see. And it cuts through all that navigation thing. So one opportunity for you as a builder is you may be a declutter all your navigation signs on your website. Show your brand for what it truly is. Make it a lot cleaner, especially on mobile. Too many buttons actually just makes that small experience even worse. But unfortunately, you still have to appeal to human eyes as well as machine's eyes. But what could happen is that the human eyes may be further down in the funnel because they may not even see your website until you have been vetted by their AI. So maybe when they have their buyer's portal dressing room, it's all about Anya here. Her gowns, her dresses, it's all about Anya there. It's not your showroom, it's her dressing room. So part of this requires a generative AI shopping experience. Just like I have my satellite radio, I have my stuff when I go on this trip. I can't even have a trip now unless I have the right music. So it knows to have my 80s channel there, and it's at the top. It knows if I want to call somebody, it's on my contact list. I says, just call Anya or whatever. It needs to have that content generated to them visually, textually, verbally, on their personal channels. And then finally, that customer journey needs to be end to end. If you can't arrive at your destination, it's a wasted journey. If my trip to Italy stops in Warsaw, Poland, I'm going to be very upset. So it needs to not only find, design, experience, and buy online, it needs to collaboratively find, design, and experience and buy online. So that's the roadmap to success. So I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. Now you got to your resort. So what are the next steps? I'm not just trying to make up fantasy land here. We are actually building. You don't have to use us. Other companies are doing this stuff, but we are having to pave the AI road. We're building the airports. We're building the structure, the roads. We're building the cars even. And what we're doing now, instead of just creating websites, we have created websites in the past, WordPress websites, even interactive app websites, but they've always been a separate domain. What we're now doing, and we're working with 3 builders right now, and we have a waiting list, interest list, that is building these next generation AI. I won't say AI ready yet, but there should be AI enabled when it is ready, when you have the data there, to become interactive websites on your own domain. And therefore, you no longer need to have these irritating, ugly iframe pop-ups, which the AI doesn't see anyway because it can't see across domains. It doesn't want to log into a different place. It wants to see that there's a lot of activity on your domain. It wants to recognize your brand. It wants to bring people there and have a great experience. So the best way to do it is to make it like an Amazon.com or a Facebook. When you are there, it's all about you. You don't go anywhere else. The concierge service is perfect. The analytics and insights is great. You don't have to go to Google Analytics to go learn about what's happening on your store. Actually, when we were at the conference last week, there was no mention about GA4. Actually, it was like the unspoken word. It's like I think somebody did ask, hey, what about GA4? And they said, I would focus on AI. I'm not saying that what's going to happen, and it may not happen until GA5 is through or whatever, but what could happen in an AI world where URLs don't matter? The only thing that matters is you, not the RL. When it's about your conversation and your experiences and where you are in the funnel, not just at the top in a search engine, it's going to change everything. How do I know? Why do I care about the footprints when I don't know who they are, where they're going, how they move down the funnel? How do I personalize it? How do I service them? How do I converse with them? How do I optimize them and help them transaction? If you're only stuck in third-party Google Analytics that's now becoming cookieless, there's not even a cookie trail to follow.
Right.
And
Yes.
you're going to actually pay as a builder to be advertising in that void. I would avoid the void.
So yes, we're definitely hard at work to bring the next generation interactive websites that are going to be dynamically generating content based on who you are, where you're coming from, your interests, etc. So all the things we've talked about, we're not just talking about it, but actually we have a team working on all of that behind the scenes. So if you guys want to learn more and get on our waiting list, we'll give you more information about that. Sign up at inugo.com/websites. That's where you can learn more about current development, what's coming in the future, and be one of the first people to get a sneak peek at these new websites. And if you're looking to redo your website, definitely check it out. Now, I know this has been a lot of information. We recorded this so that you can go back and listen to it again if you need to, because I'm sure a lot of information is new because nobody is talking about this in our industry. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation and got to witness a little bit of the kind of cool stuff that we're working here at Inugo. Thank you for being here with us today. And we will see you guys next time. And be sure to check out inugo.com/websites if you want to learn more about Inugo's new interactive websites. Thank you for being with us today and talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.